I vowed never to write fantasy again. And now I've published 5 fantasy novels and it's my most popular series. How did I get here? Well, the second genre I ever wrote was fantasy. I loved the escapism of it as a teenager, but I really hated plotting and world building, so I'd usually never finish my ideas because I had no idea what the rules were or where the story was even going. I officially gave up when I wrote a series that I really liked, loved the characters, great premise, but I absolutely hated the plot. Don't get me wrong, I had really positive feedback from it, but I personally wasn't happy with it, and I'm not going to publish something I'm not happy with. But I also didn't want to put the work in to fix it. It was too much. So I focused on writing celebrity romances for the next decade. Fast forward to when I had an endoscopy, and I felt like I needed a comfort story. If you had an endoscopy, you'll understand why I needed the comfort, and if you haven't, you don't want to know. So I told myself that comfort story, and I realised this idea had potential. It's still got potential, but it's another one that I haven't quite got to a position where I'm happy enough to publish it yet. Fast forward again to 18 months later during COVID, my nana passed away, I was reading ghost stories for comfort, and I dreamt up the ending of what would become the Ghost Call and the start of the Mummy's Curse. I immediately knew I wanted to spend more time with these characters. I hadn't even wanted to get up that morning because I was enjoying getting to know them so much. Everyone was fully formed, and some of them even had names with like no effort whatsoever. It was weird, but I kind of just knew I had to write it and see where it went. And because I knew the ending, I found it a lot easier because I always find it easier to write a book if I know where it's going. It took me a lot of work to get it right because I hadn't written fantasy in about a decade. But I'm really lucky that one of my friends, who's an amazing editor, pushed me so hard on the world building. Like, I was really annoyed at her, I'm not gonna lie. But she insisted that it would make my life easier in future books if I did it now, for book 1. And she was right. I mean, she's published a lot of books herself as well and edited a lot as well. So, I mean, she knows what she's talking about. And I'd highly recommend her if you do want an editor for your books. I'll leave a link to her website below. Right now, I'm editing books 6 to 8 in the Afterlife Cause series, and having most of the lore nailed means I can write and edit them faster. There's been a bigger gap between book 5 and 6 than there was between books 1 and 5 because I'm introducing a lot of new stuff in book 6, but it is so going to be worth it. There's new characters, there's new lore, it's just so good. So that's how I got back into writing fantasy after vowing never to write it again. And I still find it comforting now, actually. And you can check out the first 5 Afterlife Calls books and pre-order book 6, which will be out in the summer.